at large here with you again. We are going through 1 Peter. We'll be going through 1 Peter, 2 Peter, and Jude. And that is because they are lumped together in a lot of Bible study materials, because a lot of the New Testament are a little shorter, so people try to study some of the chunks there, I think. But anyways, we're talking about 1 Peter. This is kind of an interesting take, because I was thinking about the different authors that are in the New Testament, and you have Paul, you have Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, right? And then you have Paul, and then you have James, Judas, Jude, and I was trying to think of the different authors. Hebrews, I'm not sure if that's really attributed to any one person. I think there's a little bit of debate and some speculation that it was written by a particular author, but we'll get to that in Hebrews. But anyways, Peter is kind of funny, because in 2 Peter, Peter kind of makes mention that Paul's letters are a little hard to understand, which I kind of laughed at when I read that. But to me, Peter's letters are a little bit harder to understand. And I thought that was kind of interesting. I kind of struggled to follow some of Peter's sentences. I think that he's got a lot of really dense concepts in his letters. So 1 Peter, first off, is just written to an audience in Asia, which would be, I know he mentions Cappadocia. I've actually been to Cappadocia in Turkey, which is kind of cool to go. Turkey was amazing because, like, you go to Tarsus and Cappadocia and all these places, that Ephesus, that are then mentioned later. And so it was just a really interesting place that I'm very fortunate to have gone to. I've actually been to St. Paul's birthplace in Tarsus. Fantastic. Just crazy to be surrounded by that much history. So in 1 Peter, he's talking to people in Galatia, Cappadocia, Asia, right? So he's speaking to this audience. This letter is going to be passed around, and these people are being pretty heavily persecuted. So they're not in great social graces at the time. And so one of the themes is humbly serving and submitting to authority for the Lord's sake. And so there's actually a section in here where he talks about submitting to authority. Submitting to authority is a very interesting concept in the New Testament, because yes, many audiences were told to submit to authority, but I think we take that today to mean one thing, whereas there are clear and obvious examples that they did not, that they were steadfast in their faith rather than denying their faith. I mean, Peter himself was crucified. So when he tells us to obey authority, what does that mean? Anyways, so he's writing to multiple churches. He uses the symbolism of wandering around as the promised people. So he's calling them exiles and sojourners in this letter. And he's really hammering home this new identity that people have. And so he's highlighting their current earthly struggles. And he's also putting it in the bigger perspective of, but you are called to be set apart for God. And here's how you do that. And here's the faith and the hope that you have. And these people that are persecuting you actually need this hope. Like, it should be abundantly clear to you that they need this hope. And here's how we deliver that. So it's a really interesting use case as Peter's talking to the audience about how we interact with non-believers and people who buy into the normal worldly secular viewpoints. And this is coming up a lot in the New Testament and in our world today. It's very interesting to me to see how Christians and non-Christians are relating to each other, the growing divisiveness and animosity, and the real opportunity there is for us as Christians to go out into the world, to be persecuted for our beliefs. That possibility is rising. These letters speak directly to that, and I think that that's an encouraging thing. So there's a lot in here, and one of the things that I really love about this is one key thing that I really want to point out just in the overview that I think sums it up nicely is to remember that the real enemy is not cultural or political. The real enemy here is spiritual. And as Christians, we're tuned into that. And in a world that is increasingly materialistic, oftentimes we run into viewpoints where that is kind of pushed down and rejected. Like, well, no, it's cultural, it's political, the answers are within humanity itself, and that's just simply not the case if you're a Christian. If you're a Christian, you know the answer is not within humanity, but looking to God and being saved by His grace. So there's a lot of that going on here, and I'm looking forward to digging into this. Like I said, 1 Peter chapter 1 is very dense. Peter's not messing around, and there's quite a bit here where he's talking about their persecution. He's using symbolism to kind of set the stage here, and he's doing some encouragement here. In chapter 2, he jumps into more language about the prophets and Old Testament. There are a lot of Old Testament references here, and I think there's even a reference to extra biblical resources, Book of Enoch kind of thing that we see in Jude as well. But he goes through and talks about there's kind of a theme of freedom versus slavery in the second chapter, which is interesting. And chapter 3 talks about more wives being subject to your husband's stuff, and the right relationship within marriage and how wives should react. And again, what's interesting about this chapter that we don't think about a lot today, I don't think, is the fact that this would have been a very weird spot to be in. So it's under Roman rule in Asia that there would have been people coming to Christ that were married to people that were not, and they would be very concerned about how they interact with people. And so what these books are about a lot of times are about, in a persecuted environment, how are the people of God supposed to interact with non-believers? And that causes a lot of tension sometimes. It can be weird in our everyday interactions even. And I've noticed this, the more that I speak about my faith, the more I run into those positions where people are like, whoa, wait. What are you saying? So it's very interesting. And it can be very intimidating if you don't know what you stand for. That's why I think Peter is reminding us exactly what it is that we stand for and what our beliefs are about. But anyways, so in chapter 4 of the book, he goes about talking about how to live, what this looks like, and what examples we set. And then in chapter 5, he comes back to encouraging people again and getting into that. So just kind of a brief overview of the chapters there and what we're going to be getting into. But anyways, if you've already read 1 Peter, let me know what you're excited about jumping into with this book, or, put something that you're looking forward to learning about this book or anything in the comments below. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and you'll get every video as they come out. I really appreciate that. And with that, overview's done, and we'll jump into the chapters. All right, look forward to it. Peace.